Hello and welcome for our Classical Art Unpacked podcast. And today we are very pleasure to have our friend and professional architect, one of the top in Ålesund in Norway. And we are really looking forward to hear his opinion about art and about architect and what actually influence now in architect world. And I would like Jan to introduce him a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Jan Huse. I'm born in 1990. No, I'm not 1990, 1966. It was a long time ago, so I'm 59. I work in Ålesund locally in an architect firm called Skaler. So we are 3 architects and 1 building engineer. It's a small company, but we have really good jobs. Really a lot of good customers and clients, and still growing after all these years. I am a husband. I have 4 children. They're all grown up. So the oldest actually he's completed his architecture degree now in the summer, and he started to work for us.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and then
How many projects you done in your life? Like if we're talking about numbers.
that's hard to say. I don't have I just you go from one project to another project, so that could be I don't know, maybe up to 100 projects. I don't have the numbers on it. Yeah.
Which is up to 100 projects, so what approximately it's been done through you, right? With your design, with your original ideas.
Yeah, but at the same time, we work as a team. In an architect firm, when we get a client, we usually get contacted by, either they just come and approach us. We say normally that we hide because we have sometimes too much work, and so we we have our office, and we don't do any commercial stuff about us. So we do what Vitruvius, I will probably refer back to him later, but he said that your work will promote you, and you don't need to boast of what you are doing, because if your work are good, if it's good, then it would in itself just promote you. And so that is what we are doing. If we do a good job, and that is not up to us to kind of decide, yes, this is amazing, but the clients would then be satisfied, and we will probably have done a good job, and then that
They could suggest you, right, for
they
somebody.
will. Yes, I have just that's probably a month ago. I had a phone call from a client that said, I've been told I have to ask you. I said, okay, yes, and you will probably be the one that could solve our challenges when it comes to a new home. So it's in our local area. It's about that we probably have done some good work, and then people suggest us to others, and then some will go on the website, but the website is not so updated, so it has a lot of kind of older work, and even because of we don't have people just doing marketing for us, we sit and work, and then people find us, or they see something, maybe they see a building coming up or a home, and then they suggest us for others, and then that's how we kind of grow. And of course, it's also friends that suggest us to other friends, and then also to companies. So we both do. My specialty will be homes, and then I also do other buildings. Right now I'm in the completion of doing a school. So just these days, there's now it's only on the outdoor, because the building itself is almost completed. So it's an outdoor plan, and so on. So it's a little back and forth with with phone calls and
Yeah,
emails
documents
and
and yeah.
and so on. So it's that is also something we do, and that is to get those works. That is contacts and friends has been that you do something that is right, and then they would come and ask you, hey, could you do this? Could you consider this project?
Which is you thinking in our world for artists, for architect, or for even maybe some visual artists, it's actually not so much about popping yourself around, but it's actually what are you doing, and people will be search for you by result what they see.
That's how it works, at least for us. We have others that is in the start of maybe they're just done with their education and they want to start alone, and then to instead of going into a company and then just work to a company for some years, they just want to right off start their own company, and then you don't have any references, you haven't done anything about except school projects, and the school projects you have had usually plenty of time to work on. Maybe you have yeah, usually you have a half a year to work
Half
on
a year.
your diploma. And in reality, you don't have that. When a client comes to you, he is he has already gone a long process and then decided, okay, this is what I want to do and I want it fast. And you don't have a half a year to do research and all those things around it. You just have to gather the team and then start to work. So depends a little. So if you're alone, and then you have to start to market yourself and say, okay, I'm good. Ask me. Come, contact me. I can give you a good price and so on. So there is a difference. For us, it's really easy. We are fortunate to have a lot of work and a lot of people asking us. So now it's kind of waiting. They say, okay,
Which is
we
you
can
putting them
start
on
on
the
this.
waiting list.
Yes, we do basically. And so, okay, thank you. We will have a meeting with you, and then, but we won't start. We will not have time to start this until January.
Until you're not finished or something
We
which
need
is
to
going on,
finish.
right?
Yeah. We cannot have too much and jumping on from one project to another. So
But if we're talking about your like personal style or personal direction, how you normally trying to do things, who been biggest influence or what been biggest influence for your own style?
good question. I I did a really nice course on Oxford University about the modern era in architecture, and then you have, I mean, you have to read through, you have to study, who are these architects, what have they done, what have they achieved, what is the buildings that lasts usually. So for me, I have different sets. I have the modernists, especially Le Corbusier and Frank Lloyd Wright that I wrote about, and that actually have a big influence on me in the way they think. You know, more than the building in itself. The building, because we say we work on site more than we don't design a building and we place it somewhere. We always work on the site and then design a building that fits to the site. This is just a different approach. So probably my biggest influence is then that maybe Le Corbusier and Frank Lloyd Wright from the old. They did the interesting thing. They did also their kind of main masterpieces when they were quite old. So, like Frank Lloyd Wright did his Guggenheim in New York when he was around 80. I don't think he completed it before he passed, actually. And to see that your work grows, for your life. It's not like you have your peak when you were in the 40s, like many, for if you're a musician or something, you can have your technique, and your peak will be when you're really good, and then you decline as you get older because your fingers getting stiff or something. For architects and artists in general, you just grow all the time until you can get sick, or you can get Alzheimer, dementia, or something that you're actually out of function. But if you don't, if you stay healthy, you will just grow. And the funny thing, we talked about it earlier today, is, how when you then start to design a building, and you do it really fast. Let's say you spend 2 hours on the design, just like, wow, because you go to the site, you say, wow, this would work here. You go back to the office and you just do sketches with hand. And then you design this and you spend half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours on it. And then when the clients come back and say, okay, you charge me this much for this building, that's quite a lot compared to the time you spent on it. And then if you go back and then ask, so how long time do you spend on this? I spent 50 years on this. Because you have all your experience throughout a life, and then you design based on that, more than you start from scratch and with zero knowledge on how to do this, and then you have to work and do research for half a year to actually be able. No, you have so much understanding and knowledge, and you know what works and what not work, and then you design out of that. So the biggest influence for me, one would be Vitruvius. So Vitruvius was a Roman architect and engineer. He wrote the 10 books on architecture. He did it between 30 and 15 BC. So he worked under Caesar Augustus. It's probably his approaches and his way of thinking has been a big influence. That's more like the philosophy behind architecture more than just practical architecture, because practical architecture today will be totally different than 2,000 years ago. But the thinking, the way you actually approach, could be some of the same. The way you organize a home, the way you organize a building, and the philosophy behind it is interesting. It hasn't changed that much.
And what kind of philosophy was touching you? What inside of his thinking, what been really like inspiring you?
To me, it was, and I've used this in my own home, because we're just done with our new home. So we bought a land on an island just outside Ålesund. And then you have a challenge when you then work as architect and you want to design your own building. And you spending years on doing, I can do this, and the sketches goes everywhere, because you can do so much. And then what I ended up doing after, I don't know how many suggestions, because it technically is, you can do millions. It's unlimited how you can solve a home, because it could be done in so many ways. So what I ended up doing is going back all the way to Vitruvius, and just like, okay, I need to actually go back to the core. What do we actually do? What should it look like? And then this idea evolved, and that was around the cube. So probably my biggest fascination is about the cube, and then you see it both in the old temples, both the Roman temples and the Greek temples, and the Jews as well. So you could take the tabernacle with the Jews, so when they left Egypt and they were going to Israel, then they had this moment where they wanted to design a dwelling place for God. And that is one of the few places actually, God says what you want to do, what you should do. This is how you should design. And then,
which is this biblical roots of the cube.
Yes, and the interesting thing that was
so
he
interesting.
decided.
I heard about it.
He said, so if you want a core, how should you design something? It goes back to the cube. for me, I always go back to the cube because he said design 3 cubes. Okay, it's interesting. Well, why a cube? Why a cube? So there's a lot you can say about the cube, but it has a number 6. That is the kind of one important aspect, and the number 6 is for man, for us. As we were created on the 6th day, I think. Number 6 represents man, and of course, the tabernacle then was a holy place. How should the number 6 then become the cube? Why not 7? There is the holy number. And so the interesting thing then was, like, he had 2 cubes. He said, put the 2 cubes outside one of the cubes, and one of the cubes would then be my dwelling place. So you had the 2 cubes that was a man, double, and then you had 1 cube that was God's dwelling place. And the kind of the aspect that made it to the 7, the holy number, was that God filled the place. So then it became 7. So the cube got completed. Why? Because he was dwelling there. So you had the physical aspect, and the 6 number, the cube, and then you had the 7 that was the dwelling, the spiritual place.
No,
So-
that's very interesting philosophy behind it.
Yes, so I've been using that a lot because it is also good. It's also good shape. A cube is really solid. It's grounded. It's easy to build on. I think that you see the Lego is
All in cubes, yeah.
yes,
know,
though
funny
you start
things-
with the cube.
Yeah, funny things even here in academy. We started with first assignment for student learning how to draw a cube.
So that is part of my influence is that. So when when I then at the island on a house, or personal house or private house, then I started with a cube. Okay, so I placed the cube. I did a orientation of the cube that was north, south, east, west. I like that. I like to have some ideas around. Okay, let's put it facing north, so it's a north wall. The challenge was then, okay, the house in itself has to be moved. I cannot do a house that is north-south because it would not fit the land. So I then took the cube, north-south, east-west, perfect cube. And then I oriented the house towards west because that was the plot, that was the land. So 60 degrees west. The interesting thing was that what happened to the house when I did it, and this kind of an effect of the cube. So I did 2 long houses because I wanted to also combine it with a Scandinavian style of architecture. It's kind of what we call the modern Scandinavian way. It's clean lines, it's wood, a lot of wood. You have high ceiling, you have sloped roof. And then you have all these, all the suggestions of course, this is our home, so I have a wife. She had opinions. I want this. I want, I want a high ceiling.
Of course, you have family.
I want a
should have
high
opinion of
ceiling.
another part.
Yeah. So we ended up doing slope roof. We ended up 2 long houses. That means they are 21 meter long. They're 6 meter wide. 2 long, and then 1 is kitchen and living room. So it's quite big. And then the other section is then 2 more living rooms, and then bedrooms, 5 bedrooms, and bathroom, and so on. More the technical part. And then it's almost 6 meters to the ceiling. And then also a desire she had as I don't want to gypsum walls. I don't want to dry walls. I want to have wood inside. And I love wood myself. So you just in a bedroom, you sleep better if it's wood compared to gypsum walls. That's a fact. So we ended up doing wood on the inside as well. And the idea with the cube, then back to the cube, was that I put the house slightly towards west, but the cube is in the middle of the house as a cube, but it's subtracted. It's taking out. Is a volume invisible, but it's taken out of the house. So that means that in the middle of the house, there is this big cube, it's 6 by 6 meters.
A cube in the middle of the
Yes.
house.
It's 6 by 6 meters. But it's subtracted space. So it's kind of taken out. So it ends up being an atrium because it's in the middle of the house as an atrium, has an open space outside.
Holy place in the cube in the middle of the house.
Yes. And because the cube represents the creation. That's what it represents in kind of, at least in the biblical terms. So then it represents creation. So what we have now is an interesting building. It's a concept I couldn't design for anyone else because I don't know if they would accept it. A client and says, "This is weird."
That's strange.
Yeah, it's too weird for me.
Cube inside my house as a center.
Yes, so I place it in the center. And then I have, that is one thing, and it all affects the house. So that means if I want to go from one of the living rooms to another living room, I can't pass through. I have to pass around.
You have to pass around it.
And to me, that is our architectural devotion, because it's a physical devotion on a cube. So I'm staying in one room. To be able to walk to another room, that at least is in the outer building, I have to walk around creation. I have to walk around. I have to deal with the physical cube and the creation every day. So it's a constant reminder that we are here, we are created, we live here, and we have to deal with our surroundings. We have to deal with the environment around us. So to me then, to be in a house is quite funny. Then to go from one room to another, it's a journey. It's actually some meters to go, because normally we say, you choose the fast way. In architecture, you have a room, let's say you have a square room, and you want to go from one room to another room.
How is that?
How can we do this effectively? No, yes, you don't go into the room. You place the path where you walk towards one of the sides. So you don't need to cross the room. You go straight. And in my project, I have this journey to walk from a living room and that, to me, then that is a good devotion. So when I'm out there, this is our second home. We have another. Then that is my journey, is my architecture devotion. And so that is one aspect, is the cube. I also have, talking about influence, I also have a lot influence of Roman villas, in my thinking. And that is also...
We're very classical.
Even though my designs of home look like modern, they are modern, they have the kind of philosophy of them back to ancients and to the classical. So if you see the Roman villas, what they did, you enter through an atrium into the house. So the atrium, the open space area, of course they used it for rainwater and collect and so on, but it was a social space. So to me then, on the house on the island, with the second aspect would then be that you enter the house through the cube. That is atrium. That is the social space. So to come there, we come to the house. So the only color on the whole house is the main door. The rest is wood, is natural wood, is gray wood. That is actually from the same trees that grows in the area.
Wow, which is easy to use a lot of nature which is around to build even inside. That's cool.
Yeah, so the same wood, so it blends in to the surroundings a lot. So it comes up like a sculpture, because it's kind of a little sculpture-ish building, but it blends in because of the natural materials. So aspen, that's the tree surrounding the house as well. But you come in, and you come into a social zone. So in the summer when we are out there, if guests comes, you come to us in a social zone. We could be out barbecuing in the atrium, or hanging out there, or sunbathing, or whatever. That's the social zone. We're out, and you enter through that to actually be able to go into the house. You cannot go into the house without going into the social zone. And to go into the social zone, I had one thing also influenced me, the stairs, actually stairs. So it's funny with the kids, they think I'm obsessed with stairs. So when I find stairs that I really like, I measure them. So we went to Rome, to one of the museums, and I really, wow, that's amazing stairs. I love how you can walk in them, because you have to force down your tempo. You have to walk slowly. And I said, I want to bring this idea to the island and to test it out. So we call it the slow stairs. So you enter to the social zone through some stairs. You have to go up to the social zone, to the cube. And the way they are designed, they're almost 40 centimeter deep, and they're only 16 high. And that is an odd, when we design for normal people, we have this formula that we use with stairs. And so, the height and the depth should actually measure a formula, or else it would be odd to walk in. So I decided to do this odd stairs. And the only way it's comfortable to walk in is if you slow down your tempo. If you speed up, you will trip. Yeah. So, and that is also a way, when we come out there, the philosophy is that you should slow down your tempo. And if you don't, the stairs would trip you. So it's also a constantly reminder, and that is what you can do in architecture. You can force things, into, you basically make the frame on, how people should live. And we then force people into a space. And I just, by the stairs, the first thing you meet is the stairs. And then I force people to slow down. And I force people to go into a social zone, where there could be people dwelling, resting, and then chatting and have fun and welcoming you. And then you can go into the house. And when you are into the house, you have to deal with the cube all the time, because it will surround you. A good thing then was that it will affect the walls. It will affect the acoustic in the house. So when the carpenters put this up, so I had a company that did it. They were like, "Why did you do this so complicated? This is ridiculous." And you don't have two parallel walls in this home. So I know, I said, designed by purpose. It is designed with a purpose. And do you find it hard? Not necessarily, they said, because they had good, a system to build. And what the funny thing was that they had all these lasers going on, spinning around, and wires, to make this correct. Because, you start with a plot. Yeah. And it was all these wires, all these, lasers rotating and so on. And then they said, no, it's not difficult. It takes a lot of time to do it.
But Jan, it was any project which has been failed in your life? If it's been happened with you, what you done a project, you failed from project, and you learn how not to, like, if it's been happening, because in architects, it's taking it. It's not just your time, but it's actually money. It's a lot of resources involved.
Good question. I have, but that is, of course, I've done not necessarily mistakes, but I've made designs that I really like. I could live in this house. I can live here. And we presented for the client. So the way it works for us in our company is that we do an agreement with a client, and then the costs, to design is cheap It's not cheap, but it's cheap compared to when you actually start to build, because then the money just but it's expensive, everything, all the materials. So you need to know what you're doing when you start to build, or else it could be a disaster. You cannot just start, yeah, let's try to do something nice. You have to follow the drawings. So I've done mistakes, at least 2 big ones, when it comes to not listening to the customer, the client. So I've twice, at least, I've done twice. My boss, he says I've done one really bad. And that is when you design something that's, this is amazing, I could live here. So I designed especially one house once that was it was too sculpturish.
Mm-hmm.
And as an artist, you want to add some aspect into it. It's like, wow, that people see the house is like, that is different. Though it should have a meaning. But I did some design that when the clients came for the presentation, so what we do, we say, okay, the first phase is that we meet the client, and then we
Approve it,
discuss,
yeah.
and so on, and then we do. We came to a point after doing this one twice, I think, that we do a better job in the beginning, listening to actually those that will pay. What do you want? How? What is your, do you have any projects that you'd like that we have done? Do you, what direction should we go? And I didn't listen because I had this great idea. And so what we do then, we have the sketch project that is for us. Then the building is completed in design, but it's not construction drawings. So the first phase is then the sketch project, and then we present it, and then we have the second is the application to, all the legal stuff has to be in. That is also a phase. There's the second phase. The third phase would then be construction drawings, and then to actually give the drawings to carpenters or an entrepreneur that is putting it up. But then it has come, that's the last phase for us. Then it's the follow up and so on. We go to the building site a lot, back and forth, for following up. So the biggest mistakes, I've done it in the first phase. And that is when I decide something, and they hated it. And I remember one that was really bad. I was so, I was just like, this is amazing design. I just want to show you. And they hated it. This is totally wrong. This is not us. I can't live in this at all. So then we say, sorry, we're so sorry. We misunderstood you. And then we go back and redesign it. I think the last one, the big mistake, was in, 2016. So it's 10 years ago. So I think we have got better.
That's great. But how you could combine your artistic voice in architect together with understanding like clients and money, and how you will be matching or what you will be suggested for artists who trying to combine and to be still strong with their artistic voice, but at the same time receive money and please the clients. Oh, very good line for that. What you will be suggested?
For me, if I can say something about architecture first, then go to maybe to fine arts afterwards, then it will be for architecture, then it will be to really get into what the client wants. That is a big thing. And then to see, is that matching what I can do? Is this style something that is me, or is it something else? Is it someone else that could do the job? So sometimes we pass on jobs. So we say, sorry, this is not us. We cannot design this because we have our certain style. So that will be, if someone comes to you and say, could you make me a Picasso look like picture? I will pay you so and so to do that. And then you have to consider, is this me? Is this my voice? Is this what I'm kind of
Which is
entrusted?
you practically suggested not to take a job which is you feel straight away against who you are.
Yes. So that's how we solve it. So we say, when we have, now these days people approach us because they like what we do. Of course, it's easy. And now we say, sorry, I have a suggestion for another person or another company that can do that job. That are really good in that style or really good in doing those things. And we have our way, we have our voice, we have our style of doing it, and then it will be hard for us to do it. It will be more beneficial for you to go to someone else, and then we suggest someone.
Oh, that's great. That's a great way to resolve the complication and even not to enter inside the zone which is you know it will be not comfortable for you, right? Yeah. But Jan, I know you are backing each year in Florence. And after you're here in Florence, you visited a lot of city museums. You inspiring so much for things what you see here in the Renaissance time been done. How that influence on your daily journey as an artist? Because you constantly back each year.
It's probably my favorite city in the world. Why? I wonder myself sometimes, but I think the answer goes back to of course, to the Renaissance and what happened during the Renaissance. I am fascinated by the Medici, how one family could actually finance the kickoff of the Renaissance. I mean, even though maybe it would have happened somewhere around, we see evidence that it probably happened in the Netherlands as well, simultaneously. Some parts of it is like, wow, they're into something. But that is probably my biggest fascination when it comes to outside, of course, the beautiful art and so on. And that is how one family, with all their, what they, how they lived, and maybe that was not good at all, but it's like the fascination is about how they picked up artists and
Choosing them, yeah.
they gave them a platform and they gave them some kind of education. So you have Lorenzo, the magnificent, that he has, told, he created the first art school in the garden, and then he took in Michelangelo when he was he 13 or 16, 13, as a talented young man, and gave him, he did this nice thing that he allowed him in as a young boy, Michelangelo, to the conversations they had around the table. So then he met all these
Great, yeah,
great people, and I mean it was not only like painting and fine art. It was of course philosophy as well.
And architects as well,
Architecture.
yeah. Brunelleschi.
You have Brunelleschi and others that they gave commissions to. They did incredible work, and you see that just with the dome and the cupola. But I think the fascination has been that one family can actually kick off a new era. And what the Renaissance is basically going back to antiquity and to rediscover what the Romans did, and then they gave it a new face, because they didn't copy everything. They copied ideas and the way of approaching, maybe the philosophy behind it.
Yeah,
And it's
mainly.
interesting that Leonardo, he said that the one of the greatest books was with reviews, and most precious book written was the Book of Vitruvius, even though he focused a lot about architecture, of course. But you have the picture of the Vitruvian man. Have you seen that? You know, this person that is standing in the square or the circle, back to the cube idea, and that is the inspiration that they got from antiquity, from the Romans as well. So my fascination, and we have tried to do this ourselves in a small scale, really small scale. That is that one family can, by inviting in and search for good artists, actually fuel a new generation. So what we do in our home, in small scale, tiny scale, every Tuesday, we invite people in. So we invite students to our home. We say maximum 15, a group of 15. And so we have our evening with good food, of course, the social, good talks, good coffee. We coffee lovers. My wife is running a cafe with specialty coffee. And so we do that. And then I always have a short input, short speech, something related to the arts. And then I give them always a small assignment that they have to complete during the evening. And that is, we say that we go to the gym for the evenings to train your creative muscle. And we're just working with fun ideas, and the whole thing is to spark your creativity. So we say you're more creative inside a box than outside a box. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So if you want to create something new and fresh, you just put constraints on it, really rough. In architecture, it's like that. You have to work with so much restrictions, and you end up being, what we say, creative inside a box more than outside a box, because the restrictions for us will be laws and regulations and budgets and technical things that yes, you can do this, you cannot do this, and so on. And for those evenings when we invite students in, I give them an assignment that is full of constraints. So normally we put stuff on the table. Normally we work with small installations, and then I say I give them a little challenging assignment, little too challenging, and I say you can only use the stuff that's on the table, not outside the table. So I put some few things there, and then often we put, like a drill, or you can actually work with some wood stuff as well. Maybe some wires and maybe whatever we have in the house.
That's great.
And then
I'm sure they're enjoying so much of the time.
yeah, so they do. I think they do. And then we have a presentation afterwards, because I believe that we should be able to articulate our ideas and then encourage each other and then also analyze them. So in the end, I say, remember, go to galleries because it's important that you, and I often say go alone, because it's then you have your private space and you can actually see a picture. These beautiful pictures around here, and you can let them speak to you, because art is all about being moved and transported from A to B. So that is what we're doing in a small scale. Back to circle around, that's why I think the Renaissance and the Medici fascinates me. Yes, because of all the great art that came. Yes, because they were able to finance and scout good artists, and then to give them a platform. So you see, Michelangelo, he loved them. He moved to Rome afterwards, and he didn't want to come back because, Lorenzo died, and that's what connections do I then have in Florence, even though he is buried here now. It was the impact of a family. And then we see the results of it around in Florence. And the other thing that to me is also really important, that is what happened with the Romans and the time because it was hard times during, early in antiquity, and what it ended up doing was to build big fences around their private homes and the villas, so people couldn't come in. And inside those walls, they had luxury. They had amazing villas, amazing gardens, but no one could come in and have a look. So they had a private,
Yeah, everything was inside the walls.
yes, extravagance inside the walls, and they could enjoy it, and that they could pick, who they wanted to come in and see it. The good thing about what happened during the Renaissance was the opposite. They said, we want to teach a nation. We want to teach Florence about art. And then they put the art outside. So actually people can enjoy it. So you have the David. He was outside. He was not in a museum where, you had to pay to get in, or you had to be, having a lot of social capital to get in, to know the right people. It was outside. It was everyone could enjoy it and get a different understanding on art. So they did it with art and architecture a lot. So you have Brunelleschi with his amazing buildings around. I love them, and not only the cupola, but the what's it called, the Ospedali Innocenti, and then the churches, and so they did this publicly. So instead of keeping the art for themselves,
They brought it to mass.
they took in the artists, trained them, and sent them out, and then say, change the world around you.
But I know what you're more than 25 years teaching and inspiring artists and trying to involve them, which is, it's something, as you mentioned, it's not like happening 1 or 2 years, it's 25 years you try to invest your time and inspiration towards young generation. And even here in Academy, you're teaching them now, per 4 days, and inspiring them and give them possibility, which is, I think it's a really great engagement what you have with artists. And as your latest project, I know you're doing now, maybe you could share it, gallery, right? Which is how that project came to you. What was desire behind it?
Okay, that's a tricky question because we didn't want to do it in the first place. So we have a nice cafe in Ålesund. I think it's the most visited one. We have specialty coffee. It's a good place. My wife is running that one, and creating a culture that is a home away from home, we call it. So you should be welcome. You should, you should be. They emphasize hospitality and so on. Good food, good drinks. So I have a friend of mine. I designed a cabin. That was the background, and I liked it. It's a really nice cabin, and he approached me because he owns quite a lot of buildings and places in Ålesund. And then he came to my office and said, "Do you need another place for your cafe?" And I said, "We don't. We have enough. I have my work here. I don't have time to do more." And then he said, "Okay, fine." And then, it went a month or two, and he came back. "Are you sure you don't want a cafe? Sure you don't want a place? I have this nice place for you." And I said, "No, we don't want it."
More work, thank you. Yeah.
It was more work for me. I have plenty of work. I like to focus. And then he said, "It's free to come and see." He said, teasing me, and he gave me the key to the building. By the way, that's a good trick. Give you the key, because then you have given
Especially for architects, you could
Yes.
enter and imagine.
Yes. And then we came to the building and it was a mess. It was like, what? This is horrible. And of course, I work, working with architecture, you can scan a building and you see it immediately how this will work without walls, with walls, and how you can move walls and get a better space and so on. And I told him, I mean, this is horrible. What do you think?
You have horrible buildings.
Yeah.
Such encouragement.
No, so I said, if we would consider doing something here, you need to tear down everything and start from scratch again. And I was more or less joking because I didn't think he would do anything with it. And then he said, okay, what do you suggest then? I said, I just told him what I suggested. And but I'm not sure if we can have this. It could be a nice place if you fix it. Uh, and then he said, okay, I can consider it. And then we went home, and that is the tricky thing with us. We are dreamers, and we love visions and ideas. And I mean, we have done this for many, many years, investing in the arts and artists around. So if we see someone, yes, by a micro scale of what Medici did, uh, encouraging them and giving them a platform, or inviting them in, that is our heart. And so we gathered, my wife and me, and we were thinking, okay, what could we do then? Let's say we get the space, that place. What could we do? So my dream is always, has been a gallery. Has been laying there for a long, long time. So I said it could fit actually a gallery. The interesting thing afterwards, that we saw some pictures that it had been a gallery from long, long time back. And then when we saw that, it was like, wow, it was actually good. And it's a good professional space, for gallery to exhibit. And then we say, okay, what we could do, let's say, what if we are good with what if without saying yes. So what if we create a new place then? What do we have? Yes, we have Dråpe. That is the name of the cafe. We could do a Dråpe that is a second one in our city that has a lower scale. Maybe we can skip the food. Maybe we can have just some easy food to make, and then focus on coffee and tea. Tea is an upcoming thing as well. So we are good with coffee. So maybe we can do that. He had the owner of the building. He had got approved that it could be a cafe there. So that's why he was eager to get it to us. I got approval. You could actually run a cafe without applying. So I said we could do that, but in addition, we could run a gallery. So I have a really good friend that has been giving us a lot of good ideas. So you find people that you're good with brainstorming with, right? It's just like there. It's like the chemistry is good, so you can easily brainstorm. So I contacted him. He was in the city. He lives east, and then he was in a birthday party, and then I said, I have to meet you, And then we sat down, and immediately, we started to bounce ideas. How could this look? And he has been running. He's been an editor in a publishing house, so he knows writers and artists and authors, and in Scandinavia. It's a big network. So I said, one thing I really like, and then back to Florence, that is what the Medici did. Could we do this in a small scale, tiny scale, micro scale? Could we actually give something to the city? Could we take the art? We all do this. We in a scale. Some bigger, some smaller. Could we take it and then educate people around us, giving this a platform? Of course, we do that. Schools would do that. As all the institutions would do that. But just for us, just like that, we have this focus. Could we do that? And then we discussed it, and we see what is more and more coming is the dialogues. We sitting here talking, and what if we then? I mean, you're doing a podcast. That's something we also will do. But could we do it with live audience? Could we have people, listening to us, and could we have interactions? Yes, we could do if we don't put it too big. So the space would then be, for us, when we do talks, would be around 50 people, space for 50. And we don't want it bigger because we want to have networking and mingling afterwards and talks. So we could do that. He has this big network of writers and artists and so on. And then we said, okay, what if we put the house on the island, my crazy house, as a residency? Because that is only 10 minutes with boat from Ålesund, and that boat goes back and forth all the time. So we just jump on a boat and then it's there, and it's 50 meters to walk to the house. What if can we combine those? Because we would not live at the island, so it would be available, for artists to use. So you have a writer that is, author that is doing a new book. He can stay there for a week, or a weekend, or a fine artist, a painter. He can come out there. It's beautiful out there, so he could come out there and then be there. Could we make a concept out of this? Could we make a concept that is
Residency for artists.
residency for artists, combined with the
Gallery.
exhibitions, gallery, and talks? So we invite you, and you can stay on the island.
I will be paint
Yeah,
nicely.
you can paint. You
Work.
can come in. You can exhibit. You can talk about the process. You can bring the painting
And
with
I will
you.
call you Medici.
Yes. No.
Magnifica.
Yeah. This is it on micro scale. So it's just this is our heart, as we know, that can we help artists? Can we actually make a platform for people to have something to say? I mean, we don't have the biggest platform in our area at all. We are just us and trying to do this in a micro scale, what we say. And but if we can help someone, yes, we would love to. And then so that would then be the idea. So what we did, long story, that is, we made a concept together with our friend and said, okay, it could be a gallery, it could have conversations and talks. We could run a podcast with live audience. It could be a cafe. Cafe is a good social zone. It brings people in. We have a lot of experience, like 20 years experience of running cafes. So more than that. And then we know what that takes. Financially, it's a challenge because we don't own the space, we just rent it. And how would that work? So what we did then, we asked for advice. So we went to the bank and said, what do you think? We showed them the concept. This is the concept. The location could be good. It's a disaster now. And then the bank was like, yes, we applaud this, go ahead. So I was like, okay, I know they are so positive to Ragnhild, my wife. So I was like, okay, this is it's tricking us, because I was holding back because of too much work. So they said, no, go ahead. We will support this. We will give you a loan for what you need to start up. So, okay. Then I went back to the landowner, and I said, okay, we could do this, but I'm not ready to build something. I have plenty of time I don't have plenty of time. I have, barely time to work. I have all my works and all the projects I'm running, and I spend my free time in other students and trying to teach and so on. And then he said this incredible thing. He said, okay, just tell me what you want. I will build it for you. I was like, okay, now we're talking. And then he gave us, he just spent 2 months and he renovated the whole place. He invited us back in. It was like, what? This is incredible. You did exactly what I said. He even put up the gallery lights. Like, this is brilliant space.
Which is now it's all ready to
It's ready.
start.
Yes. And then we said to him, this was in May. He said, I'm ready. When are you ready? And then we said, in January. Are you crazy? I'm done. I need income on this. And then he said, okay, I need to discuss with my wife. And so he went back to his wife. Call us back and say, okay, we can wait for you.
Which is they really wanted you inside, and
It seems like.
that's really great. That's my congratulations. I'm looking forward to see that place. That's a wonderful, wonderful idea and a really great concept behind it. Um, Jan, if it's to be moved towards something what daily happening now, I know what intelligence, artificial intelligence now taking a lot, and I know a lot of artists and especially who working with graphic design graphic. I don't know if it's influence on architecture as well, losing the job. What do you think? How this our daily reality with all development of artificial intelligence will be influenced on architect? If it will be taking through, or you have opportunity to keep this area and be just handmade in it.
That's a good question. I think the fast answer, we don't know. And then I can say how we use it. So we use it at our office already, but that is only it's not for drawings and those things because it's not there yet. So we use it for legal work and suggestions for applications to write and checking. So it's nothing on drawings yet, but it's still just on legal. So let's say I'm designing, like now these days I'm designing a school, and then to check the law system, I could go into, I know where to go, to find what measurements do I need for this, space for being,
Which is like more like suggestions towards something
public
practical,
space. Yeah, legal
legal.
stuff. Yeah, no drawings, and then it comes, okay, this is the law, this is what the bylaws says, this is what the regulation says, and then I can control it up to that one, and that goes faster than for us to look it up and then dive, and then search for it, because I can type it in and then in 2 seconds it's there. So that is how we use it for now.
But I feel what people now orientated towards the intelligent AI to create things, or they're still interesting in actually person.
Yeah, so we did, at the what I said, the creative nights that we did, that I'm doing every Tuesday with our family. We started immediately when it came out to dive into it with students and say, okay, there is this new thing coming called AI, and it could be a tool. We don't know how this will evolve, and so we did it. How we did it was that we created, as we used to do, we took a picture of it, what we did, and we uploaded it to OpenAI AI at that time, ChatGPT. And then we said, could you create another version of this installation that we did? And it came up with a totally different thing. At that time, this is some years ago, it was really bad. So all the suggestions was like, what? This is so bad. It's totally off. All the proportions is off. But of course, this system, the AI system, learns, so it's better. I showed a student yesterday here, because we had a discussion on AI towards the end of the session. So how will it affect us? And I showed one that I put in to make a Leonardo horse in Florence, and then out came this really flat picture of a horse that was in a Leonardo style, with Florence, the dome,
Dome.
in the background. So it's kind of, what is this? It's kind of, it's nothing. It's just like generic. It's flat. This is how it is for now. We don't know how it will be in the future.
Developed.
Probably, and it's already there. I think that you could then plot this into a printer that could paint it, with paint, actually real paint, and then okay, what is that? How would that look? I don't know yet. The only thing what I think, how many will use it, and I know people are using it like that. That is in graphic design, because that is often less three-dimensional, and they use it for suggestions. Could you make me 10 suggestions on a logo for a company, and then they just put in all the values of the company and give me 10 suggestions. And of course, you get out what you get out is kind of flat. Is no amazing ideas, because it just takes whatever is out there. That's AI needs to be taught. It cannot invent something out of nothing. It's not God that creates out of just a word. It has to have input, and the input is whatever is out there, and then what it can make is combinations, new combinations. And there's of course a lot. If you take whatever is done of graphic design, put it on the internet, and you say, could you make a combination for me? Of course, it's a new thing, because it's combinations. One part of creativity is to combine, So you have one part of creativity that's brand new, inventing something that don't exist. It cannot do that. It has to take from what is there already and then generate a new thing, combined, together. So that it can do. And if you have a low standard, of course it can create a logo you can use immediately. So make me a logo of this, and you put it in, and you put it on the website. This is my new logo. Of course, that could lead to people losing their job, as well. What it cannot do, and I always emphasize it cannot take your point of view. It can make a script, for a movie. It can make a movie even. You have the AI actors now. That is
and AI which is creating whole text for future, I don't know, movies in some
movies, books,
yeah.
all what is out there it can do. And even I read yesterday, interesting, this discussion about the AI actors, because there's a company in Hollywood, I think, that is a casting company that has created casts for just AI generated people. So that person, let's say it's you, and they created it with a history, a backstory, and with an accent, with a way of acting that is just that person, just that character, and that character will follow. So if you in 10 years would ask that character to act in a movie, it will be with their backstory. It's quite interesting.
It's fascinating. That's
a little freaky as well. Yeah. So they're able to do that, but they will never be able to have your personal point of view. That's what I talked to the students about yesterday. You have your view, your perspective. It cannot copy that. So that's why you still are important. Even the AI would take over a lot. Your perspective.
And coming to new generation, what will be suggestion for upcoming artists who are like educated, who have really good skills? Free suggestion for them for their future career. What you will be giving?
I say that your technique is your vocabulary. That's why I believe really in this place, because you teach people both, technique, to be solid, to be good, but also the knowledge behind it. That's why I think anatomy is good. Referring all the way back to King Saul in the Bible, that he had a hard time, and he was looking for a musician. and he said, "Bring me a skilled one." Bring me a skilled one.
Somebody who knows how to play.
Yes, actually, because at that time we would think, if we think back, we would think probably the music was just like ding dong bang ding. It was just like something weird stuff. It wasn't. They really they knew how to tune their instruments. If you read Vitruvius, back to Vitruvius, he also emphasized that the instruments that are out of tune, they sound horrible to your ears. Even that, I mean, musical instruments were really good. I mean, the notation system that we have today is ancient, is old. The Greeks did it, so it's always technique and talent and knowledge is always something that will be important. Even AI could take over as much as it can. Your personal voice combined with your technique, that will be your vocabulary that you can actually speak, and with knowledge that I always say study history, because you have to study history. You have to know what's behind there to be able to read the future. So as I study history, work on your skills, because if you don't have skills, if you don't have technique, you're limited. So let's say me, I also play guitar and percussion. So if I'm on my guitar, I'm playing, I have in my head a vision of how this would sound. So I have this amazing Mott Knopfler solo, or John Mayer solo in my head, and I don't have a technique to actually.
Which is remain in the head.
It's in here. I showed a student yesterday of a classical painting with a person, with an artist in Norway, who's extremely talented. Has an extremely technique. He's 80 years old. Compared to a new beginner that did a baby as well. And I said, okay, what is the difference here? Probably in their head, they had a vision, both of them the same. One have the technique to articulate it, and one don't. So I guess for the one that didn't, he was probably a little disappointed what the outcome was, compared to the master that had a good technique. Same with me with my guitar. I can have a picture of this amazing solo coming out, and then when I actually start to play, it's like I missed the notes, or it's like it sounds so bad. I don't have the technique to actually communicate what's inside. So I always say, one suggestion: learn the skills, go back, the craft. You have to know it to be able to speak. I mean, you can play the guitar, you can do 2 chords, and you will do amazing in kindergarten. People would love you. You can have a little better, you can go to elementary school, and you can come away with a lot. But now these days, even there, because of internet and Instagram and TikTok and whatever is out there, the level of people knowing what is good has gone down. So that means that a younger person could tell what's good or bad, compared to before, like 20 years ago. You could come away with a lot in elementary school if you run a show, but you only knew 2 chords on the guitar. And we always said that when you go to high school, you have to be good. You cannot come away, because people would immediately recognize if you're good or not. Back to King Saul, bring me a skilled one. So what I say is that dive in and be good in what you want to do. That could be whatever field. If it's in fine arts, paintings, of course you need it. And if it's in whatever field it is, in architecture, you have to study. You have to actually dive in. You have to do projects. Study history. I always say that. Go back and see, get some knowledge about what has been done before, because there is reference to new time. And then start to develop your voice. So learn the technique, develop your voice, because we are unique individuals. What is you? and I would do this with the students here, and to have them actually to write down what is me in this. And I want to do it, also with the first year students, even though, you say the master students, that's where you start to develop really, because then you know your technique. But already, what is actually you? Where do you see yourself in 5 years when it comes to what do you want to present out there? So 1, learn technique. 2, develop your voice. And the third thing is the capital, I would say. So we say we divide, of course, capitals in 3, 4 fields. One is the economy. We often think of capital, but as well a cultural capital. So that will be your education, your skills, or so on. And the third that is, I will say, is really important is the social capital. Are you able to be in networks? Are you able to have friends that could help you, that you can call when you have very challenging times, or that you want to bounce ideas with. So the social capital is a big thing. Fine artists have a tendency to love to work alone. Of course, been working with them for many
With
years.
canvas.
It's me and my art and my canvas. If you want to do something really bad we have done this with fine artists, and that is to give them one painting, and then they say, okay, you can paint on this for half an hour, but you have to pass it on to another person to continue on it. And that's so painful. And let's say you move that painting around to a group of 5, 6, and then you see the end results. It's usually a disaster, but it's just to, wow, it's me actually. Is my voice, is my art, and it's a good exercise just to reflect on it. So social capital, I would say, build networks. Don't take advantage of people. We don't like that. People don't like that. I will call you just because I need you, but give something back as well, and be the one that is generous. Generosity is a big thing. So technique, knowledge, your voice, and your network is important.
That's great. Thank you, Jan. Thank you so much. And I'm sure that will be much richer to hear your advice with a lot of your experience in working with students. Thank you so much being with us, and we're looking forward to seeing you gathering.
Thank you.